Hello Shadowlings and welcome to another video. So this one is going to be a how I draw people video. So it's not how to draw them like the definitive guide because there's no one way to draw them. But what I'd do is I'd get a reference photo if this is your first time drawing in person. And see there's 9 of them here, and this one was really good because it's the same person in a bunch of different poses. So I picked out 2 to show you. This one is a more simple pose, and then the other one is a more complicated pose. So I'll show you this one on the left first, and then I'll show you this one on the right afterwards. And I'm also this is gonna be the body section of the tutorial, and then I'll also make an own tutorial for the hands and the face because those are the most difficult things. So I thought I'd make them into their own thing. Also, if I sound a little ill, it's because I am. Don't worry, I'm fine. Okay, so if this is your first time, you could try tracing in order to get used to how it works and stuff. But I'm not going to be doing that because I want to show you it over here. So we're going to do this one first. So what I like to start with is I like to start with the shoulders. And first obviously you want to know what pose you're doing. But since I have a reference photo here, it's fine. So I would start out with the shoulder area. And that's just a line, basically. And then from that, you want to see where the torso is. And I draw that next. So that's sort of like this. I'm not used to drawing from a reference, though. I'm used to just drawing them without one. So if it doesn't perfectly match, that's probably why. I probably should draw from references more often. Anyway, so that's like the torso-ish. And then the midsection, the section that's basically your belly, think of it like a marshmallow, because it moves like if this person were to be stretching, it could stretch out like this, and that would be like their belly, and it stretches. But since she's just standing still, it's just a rectangle. And then you want to draw the hip area, which you could think of it sort of like drawing where their underwear line would be. And then you draw that one next. And you want to make sure that the shoulders roughly match the width of the hips, just because that's a good rule of thumb. This could be used on humans and humanoids. And then for a more masculine figure, you want to make the hips or the stomach wider in comparison to here. So we're drawing a more feminine figure, so it comes in a bit more, whereas a masculine one would be out like here-ish, right? And then for different body types, you have to make them bigger, smaller, depending on the body type. I don't think this is proportioned correctly. I'm going to try and fix it a little bit. I think the shoulders are too wide and the hips are too small. The basic idea for the body. And then what you want to do is you want to think of everything as shapes. So I generally do the legs next. So you can see her legs are just straight down the middle. So you would just do 2 straight down, like, just shapes. I don't know what these technically are. I think they're like ovals, but they have a flat thing here, so they're not ovals. But they're rounded shapes, you know. So hers actually come more in. They like touch each other. So I'm just gonna fix that right now. There we go. So, and then I like to just draw in a circle for about which way the knee's facing, because that would help you place where the calves are. Like here. Hold on, let me just, there we go. Yeah, so now you can see the marks I'm making on here. Because if the knee was over here, then it wouldn't be going out. That's how it looks like you broke your legs. But since the knee's here, it comes out this way and then comes out that way. So I like to just put where the knees are just for reference. And so you want to make it go out a little bit. Don't do it too much, otherwise it looks like a pillow. You don't want to have a pillow effect. And then I draw them like another sort of boxy cylinder. And then you want, if the knees are in the front, you want the outside edge to have more of of a going out than the inside edge. But if the knees like go this way and this is the top of the leg, then you want this side to be straight and this side to have more of the calf right there. So it just depends on which way the knee is facing. So then I'll do another one on the opposite side. That's wrong. That's too far out. Now it looks like it's leaning. And so that's the basic legs. And then when you're drawing the feet, you can't really see it that well because it's not on this one. But like on this one, you want to make sure you actually have a heel if you could see the heel. Because I used to draw them where I just draw a triangle out from it like this-ish. So they didn't have the heel, and so it looked really weird. Oh, whoops. It looks like... There we go. It looks like an alien or something. But since this person, you can't see their heel, it's just a triangle-ish shape. Well, that's not a triangle, that's a rectangle. That's not a rectangle either, that's a... What are they called? Polynomial, I think. Yeah. So you just sort of draw that. I'd round the edge outwards and more towards the middle because the big toe is bigger than the small toe, or the last toe. So her feet are more together, and if you're on digital, like I am, a great thing about digital is you can just... Oh, whoops, that's... Why am I not clicking these correctly? Okay, so great thing about digital is you can just do this. Oh, I went too far. And move it a little bit. And then fix it later. Just like move it a bit more. Nope, that's gonna look like she's fallen down just a bit flatter, and then just close it together. Go back here. Select, deselect. And then you fix it. Now if you're on traditional or have a traditional medium, you can't really do that. But it's just a good thing to keep in mind that you could like move them around like they're puppets or something. So, and then I put in the head. I do the arms last because those are the most expressive. Besides, like, the facial features, I technically do those last. But when I'm just planning out a pose, so I try and do a circle where the head would be. Now, I draw a bit bigger heads because I like drawing cartoons. But I'll try and do more of the correct proportions since that's the reference I'm doing. But you can always change things from the reference. The reference is to help you, not to trap you in a box. So I draw where the head is, and then you just easily connect it with the neck, like this. And then I draw the hands next because if it was up here, is a much different expression than if they were like down here-ish. And so I'm gonna go. So her hands are down here, right? So those are on this area, so right now I'm just gonna put circles in for them. And then I like putting circles in for the shoulders as well. And then you try and connect them with the arm. And, I forgot to mention this later, but this area here, from the toes to here, should be about as the same height as the rest of it. So that should be about the same as this. Because I see a lot of times when people put the legs too short. Anyway, so if you check your arms, how far they can go when you're standing up, they go to about your leg-ish like she is, because she's just in a neutral position. And you can see the elbows go to around their waist. So that's where the elbows would be. And then you just put in the rest of her arm. And that's pretty much how I draw poses. Yeah, it's pretty easy. And so now, I'll show you on this more complicated one. So that's really simple, because it's just straight on. Hold on. Alright, so for any pose that the person is not, their shoulders aren't straight, you have to keep track of which one's the forward and which one's the back one. So this one's the forward one. So everything coming from here would be slightly bigger because, perspective and stuff. So you just gotta make sure you don't switch that around, because if this one was the forward one, then it would be facing this way. Like this would be the front, and so this side would be bigger. Alright, active works. So when we're drawing a person, we want to make sure to get these basic shapes in. And since this is a more complicated pose, I'm going to be putting on the shapes before I draw it, just to help me get them correct. So that's pretty much it. And if you want, you could just trace it to get the feel for these sorts of things, right? But I'm going to try and just draw it over here. So that's the first shape, that's the chest shape. You could also sort of think of this like drawing the rib cage, but the rib cage would probably come down to like this area. But I've heard people try and draw it like that as well. And then the marshmallow squishes to the left because that's the way she's leaning. And I'd smooth out that a little bit. And then it comes down like this. I think that is actually quite good. So that's that, and I'm going to put the shoulder things in now because you don't have to do these particularly in any order. And then for the legs, you can see this one comes back and then a bit straighter. You want to put in this curve, but you don't want to overdo it, otherwise it'll look like her knees bending like a dog's. That would not be good. That's a broken ankle, or broken knee right there. So yeah, you just want to make sure you don't overdo that, because if you overdo certain things, it'll make it look like they've broken something. So I'll put in the tops first. She has, and this is a great example of the whole knee thing. So this knee is over here, whereas this knee is over here. So this one is going to have the little bit of muscle on the back side, whereas this one's also going to have it on the inside side. So they're going to be facing towards each other. So you got to keep that in mind. So this knee is here, and this knee is about here. It's also a bit more in front than the other one. And also the knees help show which way the toe's pointing. So if this is here and this is the leg, it's going this way-ish, so you want the foot to follow the same way. Whereas this one is going this way out the leg, so the knee's here, the rest of the leg's back here, and that's the same way the foot goes. There's probably poses you can get that doesn't follow this rule, but a lot of them do follow this rule. So I'm going to put in my leg, and you see I don't try and overdo anything, because you could overdo a lot of things. So that's an important thing, because like I could overdo the thing back here and make it look like I don't know, they're inflated or something. You don't want to have pillows, and you don't want to have broken anything. Alright. So then I'm going to do this side. Her ankles are a bit thinner over here. I'm going to fix the sneeze just so that I can make sure that it doesn't look broken, and it doesn't look broken. So we're good. So I'm just going to follow that rule, make sure to get the heel in there. Because if you see here, if I don't put in the heel, just do this sort of thing, like there's no heel there, that looks like, it looks like some sort of weird alien foot. Or like she has flippers on, but doesn't actually have her feet in them, I guess. So that's her foot. And then her hands are about here and here. And her arm actually disappears behind her a bit, so we don't need to show it all, but that's her arm right there. And then here's this one, and there we go. And then we also need her head, which if it's anything but straight on, like this one was straight on, I like putting, this is a terrible circle. I like putting a line showing what direction her face is in, because I have a bad habit of making my characters look downwards for no reason. See? And then she has more of a rounded face, so there we go. I think it's a bit to the left. Could have moved it, but whatever. Yeah, see, you can just like grab it if you're on digital and just move it to where about it is. I think it's about there-ish. And then deselect it. There we go. That still looks a bit off. And then you can just keep fixing it till it looks correct. Alright. So yeah, just get like a good thing like this. Do all of them. I only did 2 because it's just a tutorial. But I would do at least like 4 of these. And maybe trace 2 beforehand, and then see how they see how they turn out, and it should be pretty good. This pose is weird. Whatever. Okay, see you in the next video. Bye-bye.